Remember that your truth is your anchor in a world full of noise. Your inner authority is your compass in times of uncertainty, and your sovereignty is the birthright you came here to embody. Welcome to Intuition Unlocked, the podcast empowering empathic women who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, or disconnected from their intuition, begin to trust their sensitivities, find inner clarity, and show up with embodied, unstoppable confidence in their daily lives. I am your host, Olivia Ashley, an empath and intuitive, and I am so happy you're here. Welcome to Intuition Unlocked. It's your host, Olivia Ashley here, and I'm genuinely so glad you're here pressing play, especially with the topic that I feel may be one of the most vital we're going to explore this year. Because today we're going to move into territory that challenges comfort, asks you to question what you've been taught to prioritize, and invites you into a deeper level of personal and spiritual engagement with your life. In this episode, I'm hoping to help you do 3 things. First, define what self-sovereignty truly means. Second, understand why it matters so much right now, especially in a world where technology, media, and power players are increasingly influencing how you think, feel, and believe. And third, to give you 5 empowered steps to begin weaving into your life to help you move from being good at what's familiar and into truly being free and sovereign in your existence. As always with these episodes, please take what resonates, let your intuition interpret what's needed most for you now, and allow this to meet you exactly where you are. So let's dive into it. This topic arose because there's been a lot of tension in the air lately. I don't find that it's always loud or even fully manifest, but there's this persistent tension that I've been feeling and I've been hearing from many others. It shows up in conversations with friends who feel stretched thin, in messages that I receive from women who are doing everything right but still feel disconnected from themselves or not seeing changes, and also in the subtle exhaustion thread through all of this as we try to keep up with a world that is changing faster than our nervous system can process. And underneath all of this, I keep hearing the same questions, which are, how do I stay true to myself in all of this? How do I raise my children, tend to my work, love my people, and still feel rooted in what's real? And when does my life start to look or feel better? When will these changes I want come? That's what sparked today's conversation, because these questions remind me that this is all really about the path to sovereignty. Not rebellion for the sake of it, or isolation, or for our ego, but to step into true self-sovereignty. The movement that helps us shift from being good to being free. And why does that shift matter now more than ever? Well, we are living in an era where the illusion of truth can feel real and convincing. That with the rise of advanced technology like AI and the media's influence and these algorithmic narratives, our clarity is being tested. These tools can be super helpful and supportive if used in the right way, yet they can also distort, distract, and pacify. Honestly, they can shape our perception without us even realizing it. The very systems meant to connect us can also hijack our attention and influence our beliefs, and all of that weakens our inner compass if we're not clear about who we are and what we stand for. And this is not just conspiracy talk. This is our lived reality. We all are seeing and witnessing this. People with power are investing heavily into how narratives are shaped, often without transparency. In parallel, technology is becoming so immersive that the lines between external influence and internal choice can become blurred. And when decision-making becomes outsourced to patterns, likes, notifications, trends, and these often fear-based narratives, rather than our inner discernment and the truth, your inner sovereignty weakens. And when that external world becomes louder, faster, and more persuasive, when we see power struggles and division all around, then our internal worlds must become stronger, steadier, and more anchored to stand a chance. That's where self-sovereignty comes in. It's not a step chosen because of fear. It's a step chosen to enact discernment. It's about knowing your truth and not merely what feels comfortable or what's easiest to believe and enact. And this matters because for the overwhelmed, busy woman who wants to reconnect to her intuition, build her well-being, and feel more radiant and confident again, this is not just an abstract philosophical topic. I see this being a very practical piece of the puzzle to help you actually do just that. Because what we've learned in exploring this topic is that if you're constantly absorbing everyone else's opinions, expectations, and their emotional weather, you may slowly lose clarity of your life on your own. You may minimize your voice without realizing it. You might become hyper attuned to everyone else's needs, yet vague about your own. And you may stay inside that good girl script because it feels safer than being misunderstood. But over time, doing this costs your aliveness. That's where I see sovereignty stepping in, because it's not about controlling the world, it's about not being unconsciously controlled by it. So let's step deeper into this and explore what self-sovereignty is. At its essence, self-sovereignty is a realization that you are the sole authority over your own life, your choices, your body, your spirit. It is a recognition that you don't surrender your inner knowing to others, not institutions or media narratives or technology or even societal expectations, but you govern your life from the inside out. It weaves personal autonomy, self-ownership, self-determination, and inner authority together in one lived experience. And it's not just psychological, it's also deeply spiritual, because sovereignty is alignment with your soul over social conditioning. It's the act of reclaiming your inner wisdom, not outsourcing your sense of truth to anything external. It's waking up to the fact that your intuition is not secondary to what the world broadcasts, and your wisdom is not something to be negotiated. It's really about honoring your authentic self as a primary source of guidance in your life, which is what we talk so much about in this space. It's about noticing when you're still operating from the good girl script or any of the other unconscious programming that you've been brought up into. The ones where you minimize your voice, where you stay close to people who suppress your expression or prescribe to narratives that aren't truly yours politically or culturally. It's about realizing that our social conditioning and our need to be liked and included may be restraining our true self-expression. And I want to be very clear that this does not mean you reject community or collective connection or you set yourself outside of it. Your unique sovereign self is so needed in these spaces. It simply means that you show up first for your own integrity, truth, and inner compass before you step into those spaces. Because you don't want to show up combative against those who don't get you or understand you. This act is actually about living in peace. That's where it's rooted. It's about becoming clear and steady in yourself, in choosing the road less traveled where you root into your heart, your knowing, and you do so with love. That act strips everything else of power over you, and you reflect on a new way of being to the world, one where we don't have to fight and be dismissive or combative, and that we get to show up and choose peace and choose a new path. Because the core truth of it is that choosing comfort and safety over your truth does not serve you or anyone. I think it actually can harm you because it trains your nervous system to respond to this illusion and distortion rather than reality. It conditions dependency on external validation and external direction. Yet your soul did not come here to be governed by comfort. It came here to grow, expand, evolve, awaken. And every time you override your intuition to keep things smooth, or you don't say what you know, or you shrink to maintain harmony around you, you are trading freedom for approval. And that trade starts to show up as exhaustion, as dis-ease within your body. And we don't need to create a world where there's more productivity hacks or self-help features or running down the rabbit holes to heal ourselves. We need sovereignty. Because when you are sovereign, you stop over-consuming information. You make clear decisions. You parent with intention instead of reactivity. You choose presence over performance, and you build your community consciously. And you just radiate and vibrate differently. And this is the moment we are all being called into. If you are here, if you are listening, it is a time to bear witness to reflect deeply on who we are, and to align your life with your most sovereign self, because you can better help others and our world from this operating place rather than a false one. And for me lately, this topic has shown up most clearly in motherhood. It feels imperative that we put our family and real community first, that we lead our children's schooling consciously, that we make our choices consciously, whether it's from limiting screens to prioritizing outdoor time together. We want to give them a chance to enhance their well-being, to give them experiences and attention versus more to do, and to show them what sovereignty enacted looks like. That is not in fear. It is in intention, in exploration, and in love. Because if we don't model discernment, they get to inherit the confusion. If we don't embody our own inner authority, they will outsource theirs. So this begins with us. So let's help you find your own self-sovereignty in your own way. Here are 5 steps I use to help myself be more self-sovereign that I hope you can use at any time to help you with this or help you reflect and get started. The first step is to ground back into your own inner truth. This is a lot of what we focus on helping you do here in this podcast. So in your day today, whether it's when you first wake up or throughout your day, before you check your phone, check in on yourself. Ask, how do I feel? What do I need? What feels true today? Notice when you're reacting out of conditioning and when you're responding from your inner voice. Ground yourself in practices that connect you to your body and nervous system. This can be movement, breath, time in nature, journaling, art, creating, meditation. There's so many practices out there. These are a lot of the ones I go to again and again, because these practices, no matter which ones you choose, will help strengthen your inner authority and your capacity to hear your intuition clearly rather than the noise of external narratives. And once you begin hearing yourself again, the next step is to strengthen that signal. So step 2 is go analog where possible. Sovereignty requires nervous system capacity, and more analog experiences help stabilize you in what is real. Think nature and stillness, having time with your loved ones, playing together, exploring, observing, and having real-world interactions are some of the most powerful antidotes to the digital saturation we have and the feelings of being overwhelmed by life. When you can slow down and let your senses recalibrate, so intentionally feeling sun on your skin, your breath filling your lungs, the sounds of nature, the laugh of a loved one, you begin to feel your energy body and truth more distinctly. And that's where sovereignty is cultivated, where you feel the truth in your body rather than the external validation or input. And when your body feels safe, your discernment starts to sharpen. And that brings me to step 3, which is let nature be your teacher. Nature operates in cycles, rhythms, expansion, contraction, and flow. With so much of our lives relying on tech, which I can appreciate and be grateful for as they have a place and purpose, we have to remember that we are a part of nature. Yet we have become quite disconnected from our own rhythms and seasons because we see ourselves as outside of it. But when you recognize nature, you recognize yourself, and that allows you to more easily attune to your own rhythms and remember a truth within yourself, that you are not separate from what is real or alone in this reality. You are a beautiful part of it. I believe sovereignty begins when you stop trying to control all outcomes and you start observing things with reverence. So the seasons, the plants, the kids around you, the life cycles that are a part of this world, and how everything adjusts, adapts, and unfolds in its own oddly miraculous way. This shift into observation lets you better understand where you're placing your attention and your energy, which brings me to step 4. Define your God, not religiously, but personally. To do this, I want you to reflect, who or what do you serve? Is it comfort, wealth, status, approval? Is it truth, love, compassion, expansion? Is it family, health, freedom? Your subconscious has a God, a primary driving force driven by your choices, priorities, and focus. And naming what you truly serve or serves will help you bring clarity. Honestly, you may not even realize who this God is until you reflect on who or what you've been serving. But once you can clearly understand it, you can consciously choose your God. And as you do that, I want you to remember that your highest sovereignty is often aligned with what is life-affirming, expansive, and love-based, not fear-based or ego-based. And the last step, step 5, is fortify your inner world while leading in your outer world. As you commit to this path of self-sovereignty, you may notice something unexpected. Others might feel challenged by your clarity. But honestly, if you're here listening, you've probably been challenged a lot in your life, so this might not come as a surprise. Because when you show up in your authenticity, in your own sovereign state, people feel it, and some will fear it, some will resist it, and others will cheer you on. This is simply a part of the journey. Because when you embody truth, you start to stand in a way that irritates the old, unexamined self in others. And that's okay. Let them be. Don't shrink. Don't even apologize. Show them the way by living in your own authentic truth. Because real sovereignty gives you confidence, compassion, and courage all at once. And the world truly needs more of you. This path to self-sovereignty is not always easy. It will stretch you, challenge you, and ask you to look directly at your own inner landscape, especially where it's been conditioned to choose comfort over truth. But I have to say, it is absolutely worth it because it restores your radiance, your confidence, and your ability to manifest and create a life that you desire. Remember that your truth is your anchor in a world full of noise. Your inner authority is your compass in times of uncertainty, and your sovereignty is the birthright you came here to embody. So what are you waiting for? Thank you so much for being here on Intuition Unlocked. If you enjoyed this episode or it ignited something within you, a spark, a question, a shift, I invite you to share it with one friend. And if you're willing to, please leave a rating or review wherever you listen. Your voice matters, your experience matters, and I would absolutely love to hear it. Either way, thank you for being a part of this community, for being here with me, and exploring these ideas. Until next time, I hope you can trust your inner truth, claim more of your sovereignty, and walk boldly into your freedom. Thank you for joining me on Intuition Unlocked. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of insight, guidance, or intuitive inspiration. To dive deeper into our community and get access to exclusive content, head to my website at www.olivia-ashley.com and subscribe to my newsletter. You can also connect with me on Instagram at wildlyolivia for daily inspiration and updates. Remember, your intuition is your superpower. Trust it, nurture it, and let it guide you. Until next time, I'm Olivia Ashley, and I can't wait to connect with you again.